Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest joining us this morning.
Yes, indeed.
We have Aunjanue Ellis. Welcome. Did I say it right?
You said it all right.
Oh, good.
All right.
I was nervous.
Now she
Good
played,
morning. First of all, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored.
All right.
All
That's
right.
what I want
And
to
second
hear.
of all, congratulations on all the accolades. That is amazing.
Well, tell people who she is and what she played so they know.
Oh, Lord.
She played Venus and Serena's mom in King Richard.
Yes, I did.
I bet you can't pronounce that name.
What?
Venus and Serena mother.
No, I'm not. Oh, no. I'm not going to try.
Oracene. Just how it looks, right?
Oracene.
Well, let me tell you, Envy he just saw the movie on the plane because now it's on the planes
Oh,
to watch it. But I watched it on
okay.
HBO Max, and it came out in HBO Max and in theaters simultaneously.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I didn't know it was on planes, but I heard from our director, Ronaldo Marcus Greene, that he saw a woman watch it on the plane and that he watched her reaction while he was, on the plane. And she was crying and everything. And
Sure, it was a woman, it wasn't me?
Envy was definitely crying.
I
He
definitely
came-
cried.
He was crying on the plane.
And I be with a mask on, I be trying to wipe my tears fast, man. That movie was amazing. You played a great role. It was very believable.
Thank you.
And I think what made me tear so much is just the inspiration of where they came from.
Yeah.
And everything they had to overcome. And,
Right.
and everything that the mom or you had to overcome in the movie. It was it was a really great movie.
Like the
Thank
scene
you.
with the neighbor
Thank you.
across the street. I think that was
Yeah.
a really powerful scene. If you can just talk about that for a second.
Well, that actually happened. A neighbor called Child Protective Services on the Williams family, and they wanted to take their kids away from them because they felt that they were working them too hard, and so they did what they had to do. I mean, they were. This woman was the family was essentially trying to destroy their family. And so in that scene, I had to go over there and talk to her. Just, pull her coattail a little bit.
Sure did.
How nerve-wracking and difficult is it to play a real-life character?
You know what? For me, honest to God, it's a pleasure for me. It's a pleasure for me because these women that I've been playing a lot of real-life characters lately. And these women that I've been playing, I just see them as heroes of mine. I think Miss Oracene is a hero. I play Sharon Salaam, When They See Us. These women are heroes to me. So I get the chance to correct history, and the history reflects them as being, it doesn't reflect them at all.
Yeah.
So I get to stand in the gap of that. So I love it. And to me, people are like, oh, do you feel like it's a burden? I'm like, nah, it's not a burden to me. It's my joy. What's not fun is playing some stuff I don't believe in. So yeah.
So have you done that? Played stuff
all
that
the
you don't believe in?
time. All the time. Because acting, as Halle Berry so brilliantly said, is a vocation rather than an avocation. Sometimes you have jobs that you got to do because you got to pay the rent, got to pay the mortgage.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's a job.
I was going to say, let's start from the beginning when they casted you for this movie. So
Yeah.
break that down, how it happened, who'd you had to read for, because I know Will Smith was one of the producers on there. So
Yes,
break
he
down how that
was.
happened and your fight for that, if there was one.
Yes, it was a fight. It was a fight, and I embrace fights. They had, I'm sure, some more, famous people on the list that they wanted to go for. But when I knew that was the case, I didn't care. Sometimes something
It's for you.
is for me.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I felt. And I knew that I wasn't on their radar in that sense. It was just sent to me by my agent and just like, look at this. And I was like, okay. Yeah, they're thinking about this person. They're thinking, I'm sure you got all the names that you could, who those women were. And I said, okay, that's cool. That's cool. And then it opened up. And then so I started out, reading for it. I was in Mississippi and I had my sister read with me. And I went to Atlanta, had my sister read with me on the phone. We sent out tapes that turned into a conversation with Ray Greene. And then that turned into going to Los Angeles to meet Will for this chemistry read. And so I was doing Lovecraft Country at the time. And so
Classic show. That shouldn't have got canceled. We'll talk about that later.
I agree. And so I had to, on the down low on a Saturday morning, fly out to Los Angeles to read with Will. And I couldn't change clothes on the plane, so I had to change clothes in the car on the way to Will Smith's house while the driver's asking me, where am I going? Because he knew I was going to somebody's famous's house, but I couldn't tell him, so he's peppering me with questions, changing clothes in the car, brushing my teeth in the car, spitting out my toothpaste in Will Smith's yard.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Going
Does he know
inside.
that now? Does he know that? No, he knows it now.
He knows it now.
Oracene would have did the same thing. By the
Come
way.
on.
Okay.
Then I read with him at his fantastic estate. And then he fed me, which is what Will Smith does. He feeds you. And then they didn't tell me whether I had the part or not. And then I went home, back to Atlanta. And a week later at Thanksgiving, they told me I had the job.
Can we I want to tap into the spiritual aspect of that. I want to tap into the discernment that tells you this is your role. Because I read in the LA Times how you wanted the role so badly and you fought for it. And now to see you nominated for, Best Supporting Actress, clearly you were right. But what did that discernment feel like? What was God saying to you that let you know this is mine?
Well, I think it was because I wasn't worried when I knew that they wanted other people, that they were thinking about other people. I just didn't worry about it, And I'm not, I'm not this person who I'm not spiritually tapped in that way. I hear people say things when God has something for you, it's for you. It's not that I was thinking in that way. It just was, I was not worried. I knew that if I could fight for this, if given a shot, I knew I would have a chance. I knew that. And I think it's because I love the Williams family so much. Venus and Serena are heroes of mine on and off the court. And I felt like I could speak to that and be honest and real about it. So if you let me in the room, I felt I'd be okay about it. But then, you have to fight for it. But then when you get the job, the fight doesn't stop. The fight doesn't stop. So I knew I was up to it. I knew I was up for it.
When did you meet the family and really get to know the behind the scenes of a person? Because, it's stuff that you see in the script, but then you have to know the person and you got to get the stories and this. So when did that happen and how was that?
Right. Well, I didn't get to meet Miss Oracene. And Venus and Serena came to set a couple times, once when I was there, and then another time, but I wasn't there. I missed them. But I didn't get to do that. But they did these recordings of Miss Oracene, and they just let her talk about her life. And this was it's so funny, and she just talked. You know what I'm saying? And what was so great about it is it was the first time she could speak for herself. Do you know what I mean? Because Mr. Richard sort of took that space of being the spokesperson for the family, and no one really asked her. There were only a couple of interviews where Miss Oracene talks at all. But in these recordings they did of her, she got to talk about her childhood. She got to talk about how she sees sports, tennis, and I listened to that, and that was my Bible. That was my audio book every day, those recordings.
I read those were at the U.S. Open, right? Or they linked up around the time of the U.S. Open. Was it the writer that spoke to her? Was that with the intention of doing this movie?
I think Zach, I think he did. I think they talked there, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. These recordings they did of her, they went to wherever she was, her house or one of her daughter's house, and they sat down, Will, Zach, and Ray just sat down and talked to her and just, taped it.
What was the process like for even getting this movie to come out, too? Because we know it came out on HBO Max and it was in the theater simultaneously. It was COVID, you know, so that was a big decision. So was it delayed because we're like, let's wait and see if we can do a huge release? Like, what was the process?
I think they always wanted it to come out Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving.
Family time.
Family time, you know what I mean? And I was so excited about that because I knew what was going to happen. Folks was going to eat. And then they watch, Will Smith and King Richard.
And that's when you found out you got the role, too, Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving. Yes.
You touched on it a little bit, and you said it's because they didn't ask, Miss Oracene, but, she was clearly there helping, with the development of the young ladies. Why do you think she didn't get as much credit as Mr. Richard?
Well, here's the thing. She wasn't helping. She was the coach. She was the coach. And I think that was the surprise of me for this, is that finding out that he was a spokesperson, yes, a salesman or whatever, but she was their coach. When they were on the court, it was her who was out there coaching them. And she is more responsible for the play of Serena, which is very interesting. you know? And
they showed that a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah,
in the movie,
yeah, you know, so yeah, and people don't know that. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, but you know, history is written by men. The history of women a lot of times is written by men. And here's the thing, Miss Orsine is not interested in that. You know, she's not interested in being in the limelight. She just wanted her girls to be excellent.
Right.
And so that's what she wanted. She knew that Mr. Richard had to do that, and she was good. She was good with that.
Yeah. So they were kind of like a perfect yin and the yang, really.
Yeah.
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 Why not show that dynamic then? I don't know.
They
Where?
did a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
He didn't see
Yeah,
it.
a little
He
bit.
didn't see it, but yeah, no, they did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you want to see?
No. I'm just saying if she helped with the actual development of the play and he was more the spokesperson, it's kind of like a, for hip hop terms, like a Jay-Z Dame Dash
Because
dynamic.
there was that scene where you were coaching Serena, and he didn't even know she was competing.
Yeah.
And so then he found out, and she was amazing, and he didn't even realize how great she was because you were doing that kind of more on the side while he was focused on Venus.
Yeah. I think that, you know, there was another scene that didn't make the film because the film is 2.5 hours long.
It didn't seem that long.
It didn't feel like it, I tell you
At all.
that.
Somebody asked me about that earlier, and I was like, it didn't seem that long.
Yeah. So there was another scene. There was a couple more things that were in there that didn't make it. But I think what they did is that they showed me on the court with her, you know, training her. And yeah.
I thought they did show that. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe one time he took Venus and you and the daughter went to the court to practice. They didn't show that? I thought they showed that.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see the whole film. I haven't seen the whole film.
They did show
You
that.
haven't seen the whole
No, they did show that.
Yeah.
They
You
did
haven't
show-
seen the whole film?
No,
Why
I
not?
did. Because I'm scared.
No, they showed the dad.
Wait, hold on.
They did show that.
They did.
You're scared to see the whole film?
Yeah, I am. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about it.
Why?
Because I was there. I did it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know what I wanted. And so if it doesn't meet that, I'll be too affected by it. And I don't want the experience that has been so great. I don't want it to be sullied by my own self-critique.
What was the toughest part of to shoot for you? The most difficult part, if there was any?
It wasn't. It wasn't hard. You know, it was fun. I mean, I got to go to work doing something I really loved. You know what I'm saying? That's not hard for me. I hear people ask questions like, "How do you decompress?" You know what I'm saying?
Some people can't.
Listen, I decompress from what though? I'm going to work. I'm getting paid to do something I love to do. I'm getting paid to tell Miss Orsine Price's story. This woman, this titan of tennis that people don't know about. That's what I want to do in my life, you know, because I feel like that's the kind of work that I do when I'm not acting. Is try to push stories about Black women, push narratives, push history about Black people. And so to get paid to do that on film, what am I decompressing from?
So what are stories that are important to you to tell right now?
Oh, right now. Well, you know, I'm trying to tell Miss Fannie Lou Hamer's story. And I'm trying to tell Miss Fannie Lou Hamer's story. And I'm also trying to tell Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer's story.
There you have it.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Is
ask
that in the works? Is that going to happen?
We hope so. We did a short. I did a short with this director, Christine Swanson, who directed the Clark Sisters movie I did a couple years ago. And that's it's on YouTube. Anybody can see that now. But we're trying to develop. I've already written it. So we're just trying to get it produced.
I love it.
I was going to ask with King Richard, how long did it take to film that? Because y'all shot it during COVID. So
I read you say you didn't think the movie would ever get finished.
No, of course not. We started shooting in January of 2020. We didn't finish until December of 2020 because we shot from January to March, and then the world happened, and then we stopped shooting, and then we came back in September, and we finished in December. It was a miracle.
that's long.
That's long. I mean,
That's
I don't know nothing about
exactly.
movies, so that's a long time.
That's a long ass time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would be the normal shoot time for a film like that?
3 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
wow.
we were gonna start in January. We had rehearsals. We were gonna shoot for 3 months. We would have been done in early May.
Wow.
And I remember Will Smith gave everybody bonuses because of how the movie.
Why you look like that? Why you look like that? Why you look like that?
Go ahead, answer your question. Ask your question.
No, I mean, it seemed like the right thing to do just because of how the movie was rolled out.
you gotta ask the
I think you should ask the question. Did Will Smith give everybody
bonus?
bonuses?
No, he
I thought he
did.
said he did.
No,
Okay.
he
Yeah.
did. He did. But I think what's important to say about that, and I think it's important that I say this, is that, as I said, after you get the job, the fight is not over. You have to fight to
For
be
equal
paid
pay, yeah.
and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And, I did that job, and I'm thankful for it. But, I could have gotten paid better.
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him this, and he did something about it. And as a result of his responding to the letter that I wrote to him, not only did he address that with increasing my pay, but the other actors in the movie also got their pay increased, which is the proof of when Black women do well, everybody does well.
See, that's not how the story was told.
And that's a better story. And the reason it's a better story is because we can't course correct any of this stuff if we don't have these conversations. You had a conversation with him. He did something about it.
He did something about it.
That's a better story than I gave everybody bonuses. Like,
Yeah, but that's how he wants to, frame it, and that's his world. But I think it's important that, first of all, people know who this man is and what he did, and first of all, and also that, Black women still have to fight to get paid equally.
I was gonna say this though,
Fairly.
and not taking anything from you, but you said that, some of the cast, didn't get paid as they should, and they got bonuses maybe because some people would say, well, isn't that the agent's job to fight for your salary or what you get paid for in negotiating?
Well, I think I can only what happened with the other people in the cast. That's their story. I can only speak for myself, and so speaking for myself, whether your agent, whoever your agent is, they can fight for having the best thing for you. But if you are working within a system that doesn't believe that the work of Black women is as important as the work of white men, no matter how much they fight, it doesn't matter. Because that's still a reality. And there's not a Black woman in the world who has had my path, essentially, who doesn't have that story.
not even the best, like the Viola Davis.
Absolutely.
Like, I've heard her say that.
Absolutely. And we gotta keep saying it until it's made right.
How have opportunities for Black women evolved over the years in Hollywood?
Well, I think now the conversation should be not just about representation, but because we see us all everywhere, right? But it's like, how do we see us? In what ways do we see us? It's not enough to have a black and brown face, although I like seeing it. It's like, what kind of stories do we get to tell? Even in this fight for, to tell Mrs. Hamer's story, having to convince someone that, that Mrs. Hamer, first of all, that she matters, that she's important, that people would be entertained seeing her. And the way that I've written is not in a conventional way. So I have to get producers to trust that I can do it.
I wonder if a lot of those stories of civil rights activists that are women don't get told because civil rights activists that were women were suppressed back then. Because, people don't talk about it, but it would be called misogyny now. They wouldn't let them speak at, rallies and things of that nature. So you think that's the reason?
I think it's where people feel. It's misogyny. It's a lot of stuff, and it's. I think it's people got to have courage, and be interested in wanting to share space with Black women. You know what I mean, and in ways that are just unconventional. If that makes sense. I think we're used to seeing Black women portrayed in a certain type of way, and we're comfortable with that. But it's, what is it like when we see a Black woman, someone like Mrs. Hamer, someone like Ella Baker, for example,
That's right.
Who really stand up to people that we admire when they stand up to someone like Martin Luther King
Jr. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that makes us uncomfortable. That makes us not feel safe. So that's the kind of story that I want to tell, because misogyny didn't just exist in white folks. It existed within us.
Yes, it
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it still does.
That's why it's one of those stories weren't documented properly because of the time that they were in. So those guys did get all the credit. But the Ella Bakers were right there in the inner circle with Martin Luther King Jr., guiding him and directing him a lot of times.
Absolutely.
So I just wondered about that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about also the Critics' Choice Awards with Jane Campion, the director of The Power of the Dog, and what she had to say in her speech about Venus and Serena Williams, and basically like saying, oh, they didn't have to play against the guys, whatever, like I did.
Yeah.
And then she later did have to apologize, but I was like, why would you even say something like that? Like during a time when you're getting your award, and it was like a put down. And I just didn't understand that. But she did come back and apologize. What were your thoughts when you heard that as somebody who is connected to Venus and Serena?
Well, you know, Toni Morrison has this really great quote where she talks about how, like, when black people are thrust into these conversations about race, that it really is a distraction, you know, and distracting meaning that, you know, our movie, King Richard, Venus and Serena, that gets put on the side, and now we're having a conversation about something Miss Campion said.
That's real.
You know what I mean? It's a distraction. Like what we should be doing is talking about King Richard, Will Smith, and his incredible performance, and he swept every award. You know what I mean? But now we have to give space to something Miss Campion said. And you know, even though we're critiquing Miss Campion, what we're doing is we're centering her. And I'm not interested in centering her. I'm interested in how we critique race in a way that decenters somebody said at an award show, you know? And then here's the thing, she has to answer for her.
Right.
It's not for me to answer for her on her time. You know what I mean?
That's real.
On her time.
I always wanted to know, like, what made you fall in love with the arts? Like, what was the first time you said, I want to be an actress?
Well, you know, it was not my origin story.
No?
You know, it wasn't my origin story. It wasn't like what I wanted to do in my life. You know, I'm a kid from Southwest Mississippi, and you know, my grandmother essentially chose to, you know, put herself in poverty to raise me. So me saying that I want to have a life in any sort of like creative profession in my mind was irresponsible and selfish. And I didn't give myself permission for that. And I know most people in my community did not do that. I knew I had to get me a job, a good job, right?
With benefits. That's
with benefits. You know what I'm saying? So my grandmother wouldn't have to continue to take care of me. So I didn't even have that in my mind that I could do that. Somebody else saw that in me and said, you know, you should do this. And so I kept doing that, even though I didn't believe in it.
Who was that person?
He's this man. He lived to be 99 years old. He's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And he was that person. Yeah.
Do you remember your first role, your first movie role that you got?
My first movie role.
Or TV role, either or?
Okay, so my first TV role was New York Undercover.
New York Undercover, right? Yep. Now, how was that? Malik Yoba in the gang.
Yes, with Terrence Howard, we played like this Bonnie and Clyde story. I shot a gun, and I think we died.
You look back at that and just die laughing.
Man, I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. You know,
That was a
my
big show.
first
New York
job.
Undercover was.
Yes,
That's a great first job.
It is.
You from Mississippi and never shot a gun?
I lied, didn't I?
That's what I'm saying. I'm from South Carolina. I know you did some hunting or something.
I lied. I think I lied. I forgot about that part.
Now, I saw, is it true that you were so nervous the morning of the Oscar nominations that you turned your phone off because you didn't want to let people down if you didn't get nominated?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why'd you put that kind of pressure on yourself? Like,
oh, come on. You know, you don't want to let people down because you got people that are just like, already I'm gonna cry if you don't get nominated. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, that's not in my hands. I don't have anything to do with that.
How many
you know?
messages did you have when you turned the phone on?
Well, I think my phone was just tripping, so I had about 250 messages.
Sheesh.
But some of them were double messages.
Okay.
You know,
Because they were like, why is it green? That's not going through.
Right. Yeah.
so
it's crazy.
With that said, are you gonna be disappointed? Of course you would be, but how disappointed would you be if you didn't win?
I'll be all right.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
It's on the 27th. The 28th hopefully will come, and life goes on. You know, life goes on.
Absolutely.
You know?
already won. Right?
That's how I feel, Angela. I really feel that way because I never. Let me tell you something. There's an Oscar nomination, and there's also being on the Breakfast Club, and I'm telling you, they're like They're like right here for me.
Oh, wow.
For real. Honestly, and I mean that. I'm not blowing smoke up you. You know, I really mean that. You know, because I think what I love what you guys are doing, whether you realize it or not, is that you are pushing culture. You're pushing culture with these conversations that you're forcing us to have in this, you know, entertaining way. You have Michael Eric Dyson on your show.
Yeah.
You know, chopping it up. You know what I mean?
Love that brother.
Yeah. Who was the sister that she was running for Congress in from Ohio?
Nina Turner.
Nina Turner.
Yes,
Senator
you
Nina
have
Turner.
her.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. So yes, I feel like I'm
You have
good.
one. Are
I'm
you going
good.
to watch the full movie ever?
You gotta watch
I
it.
don't know.
You
I
have
ain't
to.
gonna
It's
say
good.
that.
It's
good.
You know what?
It's
so
really
good.
good. Trust me.
I trust
when I
you.
see the mom, no, when I see
trust
the
you.
mom and you, like, I can't tell a difference because you watch the story and then you cry over so many things.
Envy
You
is
did
a crier, though.
phenomenal
He's a
job.
crier.
He's a crier.
I'm
Yeah.
a crier though, but you
That's
did a
all right. I'm a
phenomenal
crier,
job.
too.
You did a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I do want to talk. You said about celebrating, you know, coaching, how we push culture forward. That's why I was glad to see you at the AFCAs.
Oh, thank you.
Because there's so many
yeah.
people who don't show up for award shows that are for us.
Oh, you hosted it.
Yeah, you know, and I just always think that's so strange. If this award show is for us and is celebrating us, yeah, I'm good to see you at the Oscars, good to see you at the SAG Awards, but why
yeah.
don't you come to the AFCAs? So it was good to see you there.
Yeah, I was happy to be there.
Why do you think that's important to show up to those events?
Well, you know, I love that expression. Sometimes it be your own people, and that's sort of the context is usually negative, but I like it. To me, it's positive because sometimes it be your own people that prop you up.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
and that's how I grew up. I grew up with people that looked like me, propping me up. So that's where I want to be.
Like
where I
the
wanna
NAACP
be.
Image Awards, the Soul Train Awards, all of those things are, first of all, the most fun you'll have in an award show.
Come on now.
Anyway.
Now, did you teach at
Come
Hampton
on.
University?
Listen, I was broke at the time and see what
Hey,
happened.
there's nothing
was-
whole with Hampton University. Look, just
I
look
what
right
happened
there.
was. Did you go to
I
Hampton?
sure did.
Oh
I sure
my
did.
God!
But so
My friend her name is Sharita Danley, and she's the vice president of Hampton right now. And she let me do a writer workshop because she knew I needed some little change in my pocket. So that's what that was.
that's dope.
That's exciting for those students.
I hope so. I hope they had a good time.
I also saw
hope
that
so.
Variety essay that you wrote, the letter to your
yeah.
daughters. I thought that was really powerful.
Oh, thank you.
To see
Thank
in
you.
2021, when you said that's when the how to make your lips smaller.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
like, first of all, I feel like everybody trying to make their lips
Bigger.
Bigger.
Now.
Come on, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's how the article. That was how the article started off, right? It was like, yeah, you know, we're all talking about making our lips bigger, but you know, sometimes you want to make your lips smaller, as if it's a choice.
Yeah.
As if it's a choice. And I'll shout out to L'Oreal Beauty Blog because that's where that article was from. And if you're hearing me, L'Oreal Beauty Blog, holla at me. And that's why I wrote that. That's why I wrote that essay, is because I wanted the young women, and I have a whole lot of daughters in my life at this point who I played their mother, and I wanted them to know that, you know, I can read that and be like, read the article, somebody talking about how to make my lips smaller, like I could, and be. I think that's laughable. That's funny to me. You know what I
but
mean?
if you're impressionable,
If you're impressionable, if you already don't have a good sense of who you are, you don't value what you see when you look in the mirror, you will try to do what they say in that article to make yourself smaller. And I think that's unacceptable.
And what's interesting, like my daughter's 13, so you hear the conversations. All her crew is talking about lip fillers. This white, the little white girls are talking about getting lip fillers.
Yes.
And their parents are concerned about
Right.
them getting lip fillers. So I'm like, what
Right.
you got naturally, they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, a black woman's body is a place of conflict, you know, and it's not necessarily celebrated. It's still appropriated, you know, and so we have to reclaim us for us, you know, and always be vigilant about stuff like that and see that as an attack.
yeah,
on-
I
on
appreciated that
ourselves.
because when you wrote, I read that whole thing.
Yeah, thank you.
And I thought it was very powerful for anybody who hasn't had a chance to read that.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out L'Oreal, holla at me.
Holla at
Beauty
L'Oreal.
blog.
And you plan to honor your late mother on Oscars night with a special dress. I think I saw on Good Morning America.
Yeah, well, I've asked the people who are designing my dresses to have my mother's name, and so at the Critics' Choice Awards, I had her name. Her name is Jacqueline. So I had Jack's baby that was on the back of my Dolce & Gabbana dress. So I'm gonna do the same thing on Oscar night.
I'm just curious, how does that work, right? With so many events, you got to pay for every dress, and you can only wear it once, right?
Well, speak for yourself. 'Cause I shall be.
You can get it tailored.
I
make it
shall
look
be
different.
recycling.
But our designers, aren't they coming to you to try to dress you?
Yeah, they are. Like, my life is very different than it was on March 6th and it was on March 7th. Yeah, they do come to you. Thankfully, the movie people, the producers, have gotten somebody to help me get clothes and all that kind of stuff. Because there's no way.
It's expensive.
My pocket does not reflect the demand of this at all.
So you've picked out your designers already and everything because it's coming up.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I have. Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see this. You're going to post this on the blog to make sure.
Now, I effed with Lovecraft Country heavy, right?
Okay.
And I don't know anybody from the show, so you're the only person I can ask this question. Why the hell did they cancel Lovecraft Country?
Listen, I don't know.
Then y'all got nominated for 1 million, what was it, Emmys?
I know. Like the week after or something like that.
I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
They didn't give y'all no reasoning, nothing?
Yeah, did they call you back and be like, let's rethink this?
No, they did not.
Damn.
They did not. They were like, bye.
How were you when you got the call, like, it's not coming back? You weren't shocked?
I was completely shocked because we were being told that they were writing it and all this good stuff. And then I just got this random call saying that it wasn't going to come back at all.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It
If
is
you had
crazy.
to speculate, what do you think happened?
If I had to speculate, I don't know. I just think Lovecraft Country was a wild ride, and I think you got to have these courageous people who want to stay behind that wild ride. I just think that the kind of storytelling that our white male counterparts get to do, we don't get to do that kind of level of breadth of imagination. We just still don't get to do that kind of stuff. You have someone like Barry Jenkins who pushes the envelope, in the way that he does. Misha Greene did that with Lovecraft Country. And, she needed to continue to be supported in that way. And that didn't happen.
That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, me too.
You're also in the new series, 61st Street.
Yes, I am.
Is that all right? So when does that start?
I think in April.
Okay, in April. And so that's based in Chicago?
It is.
So what's your role on there so we know?
I play a woman who's running for office. I have a son who has Asperger's, and I play Courtney B. Vance's wife again.
Wow.
I did in Lovecraft Country. He can't get rid of me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what that is.
All right.
Well, if your mother could see you now.
That's right.
How about that?
Absolutely. Congratulations on everything.
Yeah,
And
thank
we're
you
so
for
honored
joining
that
us.
you took some time to come up to see us.
Oh,
You might
what are
feel
you
like it's a
talking
big deal,
about?
but it's a really big deal for us to have you here.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God! Thank you. I really appreciate that, and y'all keep up what y'all are doing because I appreciate it.
And got to watch the movie, too. It's amazing. You did a great job. You got to see yourself in it.
Oh well, I appreciate
You need like a watch party or something.
How you know you even Oscar worthy? How you know?
Listen, let me tell you something. I'm Breakfast Club worthy.
There you go.
How about that?
Aunjanue,
Not the
Ellis,
same.
it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Thank you.
Girl.